Hey, Randy Joe here, and welcome back to Soul September, where throughout the month of September we are listening to different soul albums. And of course, today, you saw the title, we are going to be checking out Sly and the Family Stone's 1969 record, Stand. Now, I've always been a fan of Sly and the Family Stone, at least from what I've heard. I typically enjoy their work, specifically their song Family Affair, which is quite a hit. And I also do like their song off of Stand, that being the 7th track Sex Machine, which is a 13-minute jam session. Now, it has been many years since I've actually listened to that, and I didn't listen to it too much back then, but I remember specifically, a little tidbit here, hearing this for the first time when I was at this small little indie record shop / bookstore. It was a split kind of shop. And it was this sweet old lady there working, and she had this record playing specifically. She had it playing on the speaker right from a turntable, and as I was sifting through the vinyl, I was hearing this incredible jammy kind of guitar, just like funk out. Loved what I was hearing, and then I went up to her and I just said, "What is this? This thing is crazy. This is mind-blowing what I'm hearing." Felt like my brain was melting as I searched for a good record. And she told me it was Sex Machine off of this record here. Very odd. I was quite young and she was an old woman. However, she told me Sex Machine was the name of the track. And right after that, I got home. I hit like on that song and I listened to it quite a few more times since. So a little tidbit there, a little story for you guys. So I have heard a little bit of this record here, technically. However, I have not heard the rest. And I will say, a good thing it wasn't the second track that was playing, because I'm a little afraid that maybe this old white woman, would have just said it, hard R and all. But who knows? Let's just leave that up to the imagination. The opening track here, though, is the title track. It's 3 minutes, and this is an 8-track album, meaning some of these will be some lengthy compositions, especially, again, Sex Machine. Jumping into this first track here, though, here we go with Stand. I'm expecting to get groovy, to get funky, to get soulful. Certainly has like a soulful vocal element. That classic kind of 60s sound, too. You can hear it in the production. It's rough around the edges, but it adds a lot of character to those 60 records. Ooh. Belting it out. That's, the whole Stone family here, I think. Is this a political track? Talk about standing up to the man. Making a stand. I love this clapping. Super upbeat. Wow, that is an incredible crescendo. That's true. You can be free in here, free in here. I love the clapping. We're getting funky. Yes, please. That percussion, that drumming. I believe that's Greg Errico on that drum. And those claps. I would imagine they're all taking part in the claps. What a opener. Super powerful. High crescendos. Very infectious in its sound. Let's go into the second track here, which we will not say the title of course, for obvious reasons, but let's get into it. Open up with a funky guitar work. I do like how funky this one is. Been over down tempo track compared to that first one, but it's still very groovy. Oh. I love these mutilated vocals. This is a fire track. They play with such an energy, such a distinct sense of fun and ambition. I love the really strange ad-libs. I do really dig the jammy nature of the LP as well. Big jam fan. Only thing I could really nitpick about this track is it could go on a bit long. You know, you kind of get the point once you reach that 3-minute mark. But honestly, if you sink into the sound, if you embrace it, kind of feel it out, it is enjoyable. It takes quite a few detours. You can't help but just funk into it, enjoy it, take in its sound. Like such an energy to this band, such a chemistry. Great track. Very funky, very jammy. But like I said, only complaint, could maybe go on a bit long. But honestly, you ride it out enough. I feel like it is just a nice explosive sound, explosive ending that makes it worth it. You know, whether or not you like jam tracks, that's really up to you. But let's go into I Want to Take You Higher. Oh, this harmonica. You know I'm a big fan of harmonica if you follow the channel, which I believe is Sly Stone, who, massive performer. Very versatile. Yeah. Take as high as possible, Sly. Ooh. I like that. Some more ad-libs, some more like pure energy, improvisational kind of lyricism. I love the organ work on this track. Was wondering who it was. No surprise, it is our man Sly Stone once again. Man, this dude does it all. However, certainly not without the help of some friends, because you got Jerry Martini on the sax. What a last name. You've got Cynthia Robertson with the trumpets. You've got Greg Errico as well. Drum work, fantastic. You know, all together, a very large ensemble, really is what I'm saying. But I just love Sly's approach with the organ, with the harmonica, with a vocoder as well, which I believe is what we heard on the last track. Just a great plethora of talent and instruments. I love that. Touching into a bit of the blues, electric blues sound almost. Very much the sound of the 60s. Wonder if there's a reference to the Doors there. Won't you light my fire? Could just be common slang though at the time. Boom like a boom, boom like a goom. Trying to sync up with it. Boom like a boom like a goom kaboom. Boom like a boom like a kaboom. Boom like a boom like a boom. Boom like a boom like a boom. Some nice chant work. A really great energy on this one. Feeling like a finale, almost like a credits. Funny considering it's a third track. Ooh. Our trumpet. And that being, of course, Cynthia Robinson. A long fade out. Every time I hear a 70s album, I'm expecting a fade out. Such a common trope of the time. But let's keep it going to Somebody's Watching You. Much softer vocals. Is that Cynthia, perhaps? More of a female inflection. But I'm not sure. I do like the softer trajectory of this one. It's a nice come down after those last few tracks. Bit of a humor kind of intertwined in our lyrics. Ooh. I do like the more, almost like serious tone to this track. Feels a bit more structured. And I love the production choices throughout this album, especially vocally. Some of the effects that are put onto the vocals feel very ahead of its time, but at the same time very of its time with the psychedelic sound that was so prevalent back then. But I like it. It's a nice twist. It's a nice sound on that soul style, and it works. You know, it feels adventurous. Adds a lot of character. Nice growl. I like that one. It's not as obviously explosive as some of the others. Considering we got like 3 really funky, out there, kind of explosive tracks to kick things off. That's a nice little detour to settle things shortly, because I know we're approaching Sex Machine, and we know when we get to that, we'll be jamming out for 13 minutes straight. But let's keep going. Sing a Simple Song, the single version, meaning I'd imagine there's an extended version of it, but we'll just go with what's here. I like that riff. Ooh. Really like this kind of angelic harmony. No, there's the bass there. Very deep, buried in the groove. Oh. I feel like this part could be sampled quite easily. Wow. What a nice little groove. Beautiful drum work. Very steady. That's a nice one. I feel like a broken record here, but like a lot of the tracks, it's funky, it's groovy, it's got a nice energy to it. It's kind of hard to pick at these tracks too heavily, considering they are just very consistently fun, enjoyable jam sessions that feel like they are much more focused than your typical lengthy jam session. Feels like they are more honed in or more polished versions of something that they jammed out at one point. Very enjoyable. Let's go into Everyday People. This is 231 million streams on this one. 2 minutes long. I'm curious if I've heard this one. Not too sure if I have. I think it's their most popular track. It would seem so. So, have I heard it? Let's find out. I have heard this one. I've heard this one many times. This is a classic. Can't believe I didn't realize it was them, but I've heard this one many, 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 many times growing up. My mom always had this playing. She listened to a lot of soul, and this is certainly one that I heard many times over. And I'll add it to my like songs right off the bat. We know it's a classic. And it has a bit more of that classic soul staple, I would say, vocally. Feeling a bit more Motown in focus. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, I never knew that was in the lyrics. That's hilarious to me. But shout out Scooby-Doo, right? Who doesn't love him? Still relevant. And I agree with the long hair man there. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Where are you? Ooh. Unfortunately, still relevant in a lot of ways. As we've learned politically, times aren't too different. There's progress. Society's always 2 steps forward, 1 step back, unfortunately. But that one's a classic. It's nice, it's short, it's sweet. It's certainly much more of a soul standard, I would say. It feels much more kind of tethered in and much more of the time. Feeling like it is kind of aiming for that Motown sound that was, again, super popular throughout the 60s and early 70s. But as we know, the 70s kind of veered off a little bit from it. And I feel like Sly was just on the cusp of that. It was ahead of its time with a lot of these tracks. And Everyday People feels not like it's a negative. I'm not saying this in a bad way. But it certainly does feel like it is trying to just fit in with the crowd rather than push ahead. Let's go into the 13-minute epic. 14 minutes, let's be honest. Round it up here. Like I said, I've heard this one, and I loved it back when I heard it, way back in, I want to say 2018 it was. So it's been a bit, but I know I loved it then. Shout out that sweet old white lady. Bless her heart. Running a bookstore and a record store, and it was split right down the middle. It was fantastic. One of the best record stores I've ever been to. Ugh, but this brings me right back, because I remember hearing this. Like, it's just got such a groove to it. So, like, it's so mellow. And those guitars. And that strange, like, vocal vocoder or something. Just maybe he's the way he's playing it. I'm not sure. Gets right into it. And I love the slow build of this track. Kind of lose those guitars just for this one to take center focus. I have organ here too. Just like its continual note being prolonged there. Oh, I love the groove of this one. It feels very kind of Isaac Hayes-ish, which came out the same year as this record actually, so I shouldn't really draw a comparison. They're both just on the same wavelength at the same time. But just like writing out those jams, writing out those soulful bangers, which I love. 'Cause I'm a sucker for a long jam. I love the sort of like swirling, crashing sound of this one. It's like this tornado that just envelops you. I love that electric sound just riding over everything. Bless that old white woman that introduced me to this song. Which, if you guys are curious real quick, let's go to pause. If you're curious what record I bought at that record store, it was Bridge Over Troubled Water, which is the first record I reviewed on this channel actually, back in 2020, back in April, I believe it was of 2020. I kicked off this channel with Bridge Over Troubled Water, first album I ever reviewed, and now here we are, 4 years later, and we're listening to Sex Machine, the track that I heard in that shop when I bought that record. I'm listening to an album I reviewed on my channel day one, and now I'm reacting to something. It's just kind of crazy how it all ties together. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'm just speaking nonsense here. But what I'm saying is, bless that old woman for introducing me to Sly and the Family Stone, Sex Machine specifically. And bless her for having such a great shop, by the way. It was, like I said, a record store and a bookshop. Blew my mind. Let's keep going. And she just had this playing. Like it was just like a normal thing in the shop. You're just sifting through records and this is what you hear. It really felt like I was in another realm. And it just blew me away. Because how does this not? Ooh. Right back into that slow prodding intro. At the 10-minute mark. Very nice groove in that bass. Really lays a nice solid foundation. Oh, our saxophone is back. Jerry Martini. Incredible name. I love a good sax. Ooh. Oh, we're dialing things back, eh? Giving over to our drummer, Greg Errico. Just soloing out. What an energy. Got Animal on the track. Ooh. He's chugging. It's gonna fall off. Wheels off this bus. Oh my goodness. What a finish. That could have been the last track on the album. Really could have, because it's such a mammoth of a track. Wow. I love Sex Machine. That's incredible. That's powerful. That is such an energy, such a chemistry of band members really just riffing off one another. It could be entirely improvisational, given its very unstructured, jammy nature. But man, do they really just bounce off one another with such an electric energy. That is like pure musicianship, the tightness, the chemistry, the flow that just seems to transpire between them. You Can Make It If You Try is the last track here, which, boy oh boy, something we all gotta believe in. Just give it a shot. You can make it if you try. Oh, this is a classic. I know this one. To end out this album, another kind of classic soul staple. That's true. Don't let time slip you by. Just go for it. Go for your goals. Go for your dreams. Inspirational. Ooh. Sly. He's on some shit with his organ. Really riffing off with Greg there on the drums. I love the different vocals too. So many different characters and personalities. And such strong, unique inflections in each voice. Oh. I like how we're slowly adding the members back. Ooh. Very careful placing of each instrument. All coming together. This could honestly be a much longer track if they really wanted to. With how jammy it feels like we could go on for another 5 minutes with this mantra to really drive it home. But that's it. Let's stop before we get into the extras. That does it for Stand. What a incredible album. What a powerful album. What an energy. What a flow. What a just like entirely unique feel for soul, for funk, for groove, for psychedelics, really. I'm sure they were taking some when the creation of this occurred, because it is such a kind of drug-fueled trip, really. It feels like you are on a journey from start to finish. A lot of it feels kind of like they're honed-in jams, other than Sex Machine, which feels like they really let that jam ride out. But even still, these tracks feel very kind of jammy in nature, feel very kind of detour heavy in their instrumentals. Other than Everyday People, and even You Can Make It If You Try, and even Somebody's Watching You, actually, too. The rest of the tracks do feel like they explore their sound to the furthest extent possible, and really just kind of ride it out until the end, which is not a bad thing, because at least you have the tracks like the ones I mentioned, Somebody's Watching You, Sing a Simple Song, Everyday People, and You Can Make It If You Try, which feel like they are there to sort of bring things down, to sort of bring things back to a much more structured sound. So when you get hit with those longer jams, you don't feel as winded. But man, when you get into Sex Machine, you got to hold on tight, because it just goes like a roller coaster. You're just flying off the rails with that instrumental. It's beautiful. I love this LP. I really love this album. I feel like I'm going to come back to it many, many, many times over. I feel like this might be some of the most fun soul and funk I've heard, not just on the channel, but just in general. It kind of just has like a very distinct energy and infectious quality to it that I feel like is so unique to Sly and the Family Stone. It feels like something that a lot of bands try to pull off, but kind of fail to reach. But Sly hits it, and the Family Stone, they hit it with ease throughout this LP. Great record. Not much more to say. It's just a fantastic listen. As you could tell today, I had a lot of fun. So, two things. Great LP. And the second thing, shout out that sweet old woman at the bookstore / record shop, because she put me on Sex Machine, and I'm glad she did. That sounds really wrong now that I've said it. I didn't mean it like that. But that does it for today's video. If you liked the video, please hit like, subscribe, follow along listening to more soul albums, some more funk albums, and not too much longer we'll be getting into October, which I have teased quite a bit throughout the year, because people have asked about certain months. But for October, we're doing Rocktober. That's a fun title. We're doing Rocktober. We're listening to rock albums. A lot of rock albums out there. I've heard probably it is my most listened to genre by a wide margin. So it's going to be hard to find some rock albums I haven't heard, but there are actually quite a bit of classics I haven't heard, specifically that one, or maybe this one. So I'll check those out for the first time on the channel. Subscribe if you're interested in that, is what I'm saying. The next album we'll be covering for Soul September, I'm going to start announcing them at the end of each video, is going to be Sade's Love Deluxe from the 90s. Excited to hear that one, because Sade is a incredible artist and musician that I've heard a few songs from that I've always enjoyed, the very distinct sound of Sade. And it'll be interesting to check them out on the channel. So please, if that sounds interesting to you, follow along, subscribe. That'll be the next video after this one. But, as always, my name is Randy Joe. I appreciate you watching, and I'm signing off.